Hello, everyone out there, and welcome to the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. I am Jacob Milham, and on the other end of the horn is my co-host, Jeremy Greco. Jeremy, how we feeling this Wednesday night?
Wah! It's my horn noise.
Oh,
my
yeah?
horn noise.
Is that your air horn?
Yeah. Wah!
I'm pretty sure you'd be whining pretty loud if you were in Kauffman Stadium after that perfect home stand. Hell yeah. We are recording this just moments after the Royals finished off yet another perfect homestand. The 7th perfect homestand in franchise history. And guess what? This is the second time they've done it this season.
Yeah. Did they have a perfect homestand in 2015? I feel like they didn't ever have a perfect one.
Let's see. I don't believe they did.
They might have had one in 2014 because they had that 11-game win streak.
So, but before we get into the brass tacks,
yeah,
do you want to know when the last time they had 2 unbeaten homestands in a single season?
I assumed it had never happened. When?
1985.
Whoa!
I know. Yeah, that's some pretty good company if you do ask me. All right, before we go down the rabbit hole, Jeremy, let me get all this out there. Folks, if you're listening to us for the first time, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate you choosing us over all the other great Royals podcasts out there.
Or in addition to them.
Yes, or in addition. I know time is valuable, and we like to talk, Jeremy.
We do.
We really, really do. But hey, if you're so Jeremy, get this. We're the number 5 baseball podcast in France. All right, we have a whole.
S'il vous plaît, bon voyage. I don't know.
New Orleans beignets. All right, yeah, that's about all I got. But no, listen, we greatly appreciate you joining us today. If you want to follow along with us further, you could do so on social media. The links are down in the podcast description below. But as many of you have done, we've gained a lot of Spotify followers the past couple of weeks, so I do appreciate that. Make sure to go hit follow, subscribe, review, rate, whatever the heck it is on your platform, and just make sure you never miss an episode. Or you can make sure you never miss an episode on royalsreview.com. News, analysis, and commentary on all things Kansas City Royals. The team over there is absolutely great. This is a team who has been with the Royals through thick and thin. All right, I think we're in thin right now. I think winning baseball classifies as thin. 106 loss seasons count as thick. But we'll see how it goes. Jeremy, all right, that's all I got for brass tacks. You ready to talk about some winning baseball?
Yeah, I've been ready to talk about winning baseball since I started writing about it in 2016. It is about time.
That is just real shitty timing to me. I just feel bad.
I know. And it was like I started halfway through 2016. So like the first half of 2016 went pretty well for the Royals. It was the second half when things started to fall apart. I've wondered at times if I was the curse, but this year makes me believe that maybe I'm not the curse.
You know what? I'm hoping that if it is a curse, it is broken, but I don't think there's a curse. I think that's just a coinkydink, not a correlation, I will say. Right. So, like we talked about, Royals finished off the Detroit Tigers today in pretty easy fashion. I if I do say so myself. 8-3, barely out hitting them, but yet once again the Detroit Tigers shoot themselves in the foot too many times, and they cannot back up their AL Cy Young contender Tariq Skubal, who was looking really good at points in the game, but you look at this final stat line, and this isn't what you want to see from an AL Cy Young contender against the little old Kansas City Royals. All right, the little guys that can't hit. 5 innings from him, a 4-run ball, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Jeremy, I'm going to start this off with the question to you. Which was more satisfying, another series win or beating up on Tariq Skubal?
I'm going to give you a twist here. The most satisfying part for me was for the third time this year looking at a pitching matchup with Cole Reagans and thinking that looks spicy. And it was spicy. That's my big win. Cole Reagans today, I don't think he gave his stats yet. 7 shutout innings, 12 strikeouts, I believe, 1 hit. That was a career high for him.
Oh, man.
He walked 3 guys. I think his pitch count got away from him a little bit because of that. Might have been 6. It was 6 innings, not 7. Excuse me. He had a no-hitter going into that 6th inning. And if he could have finished guys off just a little bit faster, not had those walks, not giving up the hit in the 6th inning, I was getting ready to I was still getting ready for perhaps a combined no, which still would have been pretty fun.
It would have.
I will take Cole Reagan's out-dueling Tariq Skubal every game. If you want to do that for the rest of the year, I will watch all of those.
Yeah, that's prime time television, even on a Wednesday afternoon for me. And I will say, you talk about looking at a combined no. There are some guys in the bullpen that didn't perform today that we have come to expect them to perform. One such guy is Will Smith. He's quietly been climbing back from his rough start to the beginning of the year. Yes, I saw that face, Jeremy, but he had gone I think we're pushing 25 batters that he had retired out of 28. He was keeping guys off the board at least. And today, unfortunately, he allowed 2 earned runs, the 1 walk. Just when his stuff isn't on, it's really off.
Well, here's the thing, and I got this from someone else. I could have looked it up myself, but I know I saw someone else wrote this. I think it was probably Lesky. Yeah, he had a bunch of shutout innings, but he had 2 strikeouts and 1 walk over that span. And this is what I will keep saying: if you're a reliever and you're not striking guys out, I don't believe you. I don't believe you're actually good. I believe you've been getting lucky. I said that about Nick Anderson. I said it about Will Smith. I was like, I love that he's got the scoreless innings and he's starting to earn his way back into the conversation, but he needs more strikeouts, and he doesn't have them. So we've got Schreiber, Zerpa, and MacArthur.
And I think that's kind of the consensus. Hey, we're willing to ride these 3 guys for the rest of the season. Schreiber came in, did his job. He got 1 out, 1 walk, but no runs on his end. Zerpa, for the first time in a while, gave up an earned run and a walk in his 8th inning performance. But James MacArthur came in behind him, only 1 hit, but no earned runs. All together, only 6 hits from the Detroit Tigers today. I think once you look at Reagan's pitch count, once you look at the folks who backed him up, and if you would have given this what's it called, this procession out of the bullpen from the Kansas City Royals, if you would have given that to me, I don't know, say after the first week of the season, I would have been like, oh, shit, they probably lost this game. This just isn't the way to go. But I mean, it's still been quietly competitive, and they haven't allowed more than 3 runs against the Tigers, or they didn't allow more than 3 runs against the Tigers. That is winning baseball, right, Jeremy?
Yeah. There was something else I was reading today that I think it was on Royals Review, actually.
Ooh.
Gosh, I should write down my sources or something, or get a better memory.
Have some notes.
But somebody wrote that the Royals bullpen has not been great, but because the starting rotation has been so very good, the bullpen looks okay. And that goes back to kind of what I was talking about with the 2014 Royals that had HDH and nothing else. And their starting rotation would get them through 5, maybe 6, and then HDH could cover the rest. And that's what they did all through the playoffs, honestly, is they said, give us 5, give us 6. I think in Game 7 of the World Series, they said, Jeremy Guthrie, give us 2. Kelvin Herrera will give us 3. Wade Davis will give us 2. And Greg Holland will give us 2. And we will make a game out of this. And it almost worked. If it weren't for Madison Bumgarner and last year's utility whipping boy, Matt Duffy, who I'll never forget the amazing diving stop he made on an Eric Hosmer ground ball that looked destined to be an RBI single and tie the game and completely change the complexion of that contest. If it wasn't for those two guys, and also whoever their outfield coach was, finally positioning their left fielder, I think it was Angel Pagan,
I
to
think it
catch
was.
the Nori Aoki line drive.
Yeah.
They could have won the World Series, but so they're got basically the same thing going right now. 26 quality starts now in 51 games.
Woo.
More than half of their games are quality starts. Now, do you want starts that are better than quality starts? Yes. But if you get a quality start, it is a very good sign that you are competing in that game, especially when you look at the offense and say, oh, they've only been shut out once.
Yeah.
All year. One time.
And we're not like overly confident in this lineup. I think like that's one of the first things they have to address if they want to add external players to this organization. But at least just this lineup has not been as as feast or famine as we saw like in 2023. We would go long stretches of like 1-2 run games.
I would argue that in 2023 it wasn't feast or famine, it was famine.
It was just famine.
And maybe occasionally a meager meal.
just a nice little something to give you a little taste. And then they go back to nothing at all.
You'd get a little nimble and be like, is there more food? No. Sorry.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about some of the unheralded guys who are making this lineup go. I think a lot of folks are turning their eyes to Freddie Fermin. Okay, he's waking up a lot of folks. I know, Jeremy. I mean, hey, get your round of applause, man. You were all on him.
I said put Freddie Fermin in the lineup, and the Royals said fine, and then immediately scored all of the runs.
Just it's destiny. Oh, all right. Today, what did he do? Just nothing, right? Extended his hit streak to 7 games, opened up the scoring with an RBI double in the second. In his past 7 games, he's hitting .462. Okay, like he's not eking out this hitting streak like Michael Garcia was or is still.
Garcia's not eking it out anymore. He's got 6 hits in his last 2 days. That ain't eking it anymore.
Nope, it ain't eking it anymore. Let's see. What else did Freddie do today? Drove in 2 more runs in the Royals. 4-run 7th with a single up the middle. 3 RBIs matching a career high for the catcher. Yeah, I mean, Freddie's getting it done when you plug him into that lineup. And folks were talking about that Tuesday night. Like, it's amazing what happens when this lineup goes 6 deep.
Folks were talking about that.
Folks were talking about it. I wonder who folks
wasn't my
are.
tweet.
No, it wasn't your tweet, Jeremy. I don't know my sources like someone else.
That source I remember. So Michael Massey batting 5th. He is better than you think he is.
Yeah.
He is not a superstar, but he's better than you think he is. He's got a 113 WRC plus now.
Ooh, that'll play.
That'll play up the middle as like your 5th, 6th, 7th hitter. Freddie Fermin you talked about what he's done over the hitting streak. He's now got a 299 batting average for the season, a 726 OPS. Again, not great, but playable. And the problem with the Royals offense has been, can we get someone playable after the first 4 guys? Massey, playable. Fermin, playable. Today, Nelson Velasquez decided to be playable. He had a home run and 2 walks.
That was very surprising. He's been so like ice, or he's been heating up lately. He's been doing a lot better lately, but I wasn't expecting him to do this good after the homestand started,
I think that if your lineup goes 5 deep, so it goes all the way to Massey now.
Yeah.
Because Massey, he came in, he was hot, and then he was cold. He's hot again.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough, at least. He's going to be streaky.
Yeah.
But if he puts up more good games than bad games, which is what he's doing so far, fine. So your lineup goes 5 deep. And then you just need one of those guys to just show up every night. One of Velasquez, Renfroe, Melendez, at least until we can make a move to permanently improve the outfield. Or one of them gets hot for an extended period. MJ Melendez was hot for the entire second half last year. He's got it in him somewhere. Nelson Velasquez was hot for the entire second half last year. He's got it in him somewhere. This is where I'm like, I'm kind of in on the hitting coaches because one of the things we've seen this year is the team making in-game adjustments to pitchers and getting to them the second time through the order. Not even waiting till the third time. They'll get to them the second time a lot of times. But then also we've got guys like Nelson Velasquez and MJ Melendez who have shown flashes in the past and are just abysmal this year, and it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere.
No, it really doesn't.
But then on the other hand, we've got Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Michael Garcia, Michael Massey, all turning things up to the next level.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing that we have two legitimate AL MVP guys in the conversation. Salvador Perez and Bobby Witt Jr. remain in that conversation.
And that's been what's here's a little preview of what I wrote this weekend. Or no, this is what I tweeted yesterday. Sorry. This won't go out this weekend. I tweeted it yesterday. Bobby Witt Jr. hit the 2 home runs yesterday. The biggest problem he's had so far this year is the lack of home run power. He has done everything else you could ask from him. I wish he would get caught stealing a little bit less, but he's on base so often and stealing so often that the total stolen bases still looks good. If he's going to start hitting home runs like we know he can, because we saw him hit a bunch last year.
We did.
If we see him add a barrage of home runs and maybe go up another level in the home run department like he has everything else this year, the MVP race isn't going to be close.
No, it's not.
It's going to be Bobby Witt Jr. and then everybody else.
Mm-hmm. That is exactly how it's going to stack up. I think Preston Farr put it best. Like waking up yesterday morning, Bobby's only on pace for 16 home runs. And then after his first home run, Bobby's only on pace for 22 home runs. And then after his second one, he's only on pace for 30 home runs again. That's how quickly he can change things for how his resume could look for the MVP race.
And to be clear, he was an MVP candidate when he was on pace for 16 home runs.
Yes.
Okay? If he's going to hit 30, 35, 40 home runs, which is how many I predicted before the season started.
Yeah, that's true. You did.
The sky's the limit. I mean, we're talking Mike Trout. We're talking prime peak Mike Trout at shortstop instead of center field. And how many MVPs did Mike Trout win? It was he won at least one of them, right?
It was a good amount. Yeah, he's pretty good.
And then there were a few years when he probably could have, and everyone was like, "How many? We can't keep giving it to Mike Trout."
We have to diversify here a little bit. Oh man, before we go any further, I really missed the track that Mike Trout was on before injury got to him.
Yeah,
he was in the greatest of all time track.
He still is. He's just gonna have to get healthy again.
Yeah,
which is, I mean, it's not easy to do. Obviously, once you start getting hurt, you tend to keep getting hurt. Mm-hmm. But it could happen.
It could. I would just like to see him play meaningful postseason baseball because the Royals broke his heart last time.
They might need to, like, I don't know, maybe a position change would help. I know he's got an amazing glove in center field, but I also know it wears on your body. So I know they moved Darren Erstad. Even this was the Angels actually moved Darren Erstad from the outfield to first base to kind of prolong his career.
Yeah.
They don't exactly have a first baseman. Oh,
that's fair.
They could try that. They could also they could even try corner outfield.
Yeah.
If you just still want to keep him in the outfield. And of course, designated hitter is an option where he would still be an elite player. I don't know. That's for the Angels podcast to really figure out. Probably
go find one of them. We'll talk about that later. I just like Mike Trout. Listen, we're talking about how hot the Royals are, but let's talk about how cold the Detroit Tigers are because they were the sexy off-season pick. They're like, this is going to be the team that puts it all together. And what have they done? They've lost 4 straight. They've lost 13 of their last 19 since being 5 games over 500. They're currently sitting at 23-26. This is their first series sweep to the Royals since 2021.
Wow.
All right. Yeah, I know. This is they're hitting new lows, Jeremy. Do you think like this is kind of breaking the Tigers back, the sweep right here?
It's certainly not helping. When I look at the Tigers, what I see is what remains kind of the worst case scenario for the Royals. Tigers have lost 2 of their starting pitchers.
They have.
Victor
Yeah.
Maeda and Jack Flaherty. Those were their free agent acquisitions. Acquisitions.
Acquisitions. Aquaman. All right.
During the offseason, and they were expected to really improve that rotation, and they haven't pitched. Now, the Tigers have gotten a lot from guys like Casey Mize and Reese Olson.
Yes.
But then Reese Olson got the bejesus hit out of him
He did.
by a Michael Massey line drive. I could see him going on the IL with that.
I
If he doesn't,
I will. Sorry, I will cut you off. There. They did come out with an update. He's expected to make his next start.
all right. Well, will he be the same guy?
I don't know.
It makes even if he's healthy enough to pitch, when you get hit with a ball at 100-something miles an hour
on your hip,
that it makes you it can make you scared. And if you're pitching scared, like you're afraid you're going to get hit and you're trying to dive out of the way instead of finishing your pitch, could drastically screw up his mechanics. And that would also help sink the Tigers. But the Tigers are having a real problem with injuries, and they had no depth.
Yes.
And that is still an issue for the Royals outside of their bullpen. They're starting to get some depth in the starting rotation. We saw obviously Daniel Lynch had a really good spot start, and he's been looking better in AAA recently. We saw Chandler Champlain got the call up to AAA Omaha after dominating at Northwest Arkansas. So he could be a candidate in the near future. Jonathan Bolin, who knows, maybe that first start was a fluke and he'll be ready to, he was just maybe nervous.
Maybe so.
If he gets another shot. And of course, my guy, Kris Bubic, working his way back from injury. And one of the interesting things about Bubic is after the flashes we saw from him and after the way he started last year, I've completely derailed us. I'm sorry.
You're fine. Go for it.
I 100% believe in him as a starting pitcher. Like, this is not just a gag. I truly do believe he's a quality starting pitcher, at least a mid-rotation guy. The problem is that the Royals have 5 of those right now, maybe 6 if you've got Daniel Lynch, and that's a good problem to have. You want to have that depth, but also, do you want to send Bubic back to the minor leagues? That doesn't feel good. Do you want to put him in the bullpen? Well, may that risk screwing with his mechanics and approach? I don't know if I like that plan. So here's a plan I've got for you, Jacob.
Okay, let's hear it.
The Royals need a hitter.
Yeah.
They might have more starting pitchers than they can use.
Oh boy.
What if they traded Brady Singer for a hitter?
It'd have to be like a damn good, consistent hitter at least.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I'm not going to trade him even for 1 year of fam, right? So if I'm trading Brady Singer, I probably want multiple years of a guy who has kind of a track record. And I know there's a couple of them out there. I'm blanking on who they are right this second, but I wonder if that's a deal that might make sense for the Royals as Bubic comes back and Lynch continues to look better and Chandler Champlain works his way up. And Mason Barnett he didn't look good last week, but he's looked good at other times this year.
Yeah.
So they've got guys kind of coming. And I'll admit that this comes a little bit from a place of I don't personally like Brady Singer.
Right.
He comes across to me as kind of an entitled, kind of like, I don't got to listen to any of you. I do what I want and I'm going to be just fine. Especially with the whole like, dude, throw more than 2 pitches. Never kind of stuff that's been happening. So I'm like, can we make him some other team's problem while he's pitching good right now?
Well,
and get a hitter, and then we can have my guy Kris Bubic in the rotation. So like, this is a little personal for me. I'll admit that, but I think it could work.
So here's coming from a person who I'm very much a fence sitter when it comes to Brady Singer. I don't believe in him enough to extend him right now in Kansas City, but I also don't want to see him relegated to the bullpen quite yet. I'm wishy-washy on like who he presents himself as from the mound. I do like his passion sometimes, but like you said, the 2-pitch stuff is pretty damn annoying. I would have to, my only hesitancy with trading him away would have to be that starting rotation room's chemistry. Okay, because we have seen those five really develop a bond, really just rally around each other. And I don't know, because we have, thankfully, the injury bug hasn't forced us to see another starting pitcher come in for multiple starts and replace one of them. My only hesitancy would, like, okay, can they continue what I will call a culture of excellence with any new acquisition, or not any new acquisition, but with another guy, with a Kris Bubic or a Daniel Lynch? You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. When I look at that group,
Uh huh.
I do not look at Brady Singer and be like, he's the glue that holds all this together. I look at, because again, and this is purely perception, I do not have any evidence to back this up. Do not take this to court. This is not legal advice. This is my personal, like, what I can see at home on my couch. I could be completely wrong. When I look at him, I'm just like, that he is just like, he's a frat boy. He's a frat boy jock, and maybe he gets along with these other guys, and maybe they're just really chill, and they're like, yeah, you do your thing, Brady, that's fine. Or, but I regardless, I don't see him as the guy that's like making this happen. I think
Fair.
the people making this happen
Mm-hmm.
are Seth Lugo and Michael Waka.
Agreed.
And I get the sense from Agans and from Marsh that they really want to be a part of it. They want to learn everything they can from these guys, especially Marsh, because
Yeah.
Lugo's got to be kind of a role model for him in
Yeah.
that they both throw a lot of pitches.
They
And
do.
Walker doesn't throw just a couple either. And Cole Reagans also throws a lot of pitches. So I feel like there's got to be a bond there of like, okay, what can I learn from these guys? And I feel again, this is purely speculation based on very little factual information. I feel like Brady Singer is like, yeah, I'll participate because we're all starting pitchers and we're all pitching good. Team chemistry is one of those things that's really easy to have when you're winning.
True.
And I think as long as they're winning, he's gonna be fine. If they started losing, I think he could actually become a problem.
Okay.
It wouldn't surprise me. So, and I feel like Daniel Lynch and Kris Bubic are probably guys who just want to devour everything they can learn as well. These are guys that we've watched, just do everything they can to get better at every step of the way, which differentiates them heavily from Brady Singer.
True.
So I would think that if anything, it would improve the chemistry of the rotation.
Okay.
And again, I do not know any of that factually. It could be that Kris Bubic kicks dogs on the weekends. Please don't tell me if that's true. And that Brady Singer spends every night he goes to a soup kitchen and spends 3 hours feeding the homeless. I don't know. Okay? This is just what it looks like when I watch them on the TV and when I listen to their interviews.
All right. I think those are good points, Jeremy. So here's another thing that I think about, because it seems like all the signs are pointing to, okay, what happens in the next couple of weeks when these rehab assignments are ending. One, it looks like Carlos Hernandez for Tyler Duffy is going to be like the common sense move there, unless there's a big shock there. But then Kris Bubic is looming on the horizon. I think we said his rehab assignment technically has to end by June 6th.
I think that's Hernandez. I think Bubic is a little bit later.
Okay.
Could be wrong.
Either way, I just want to see more from Bubic in affiliated ball to make sure that he can handle the pitch count.
This is not a move that I'm saying make this move tomorrow. Bubic, I think once he comes off of the IL, you demote him back to Omaha.
Okay.
Let him keep working the kinks out, stretching out. I think that's what makes the most sense.
Okay.
So this is not like an immediate do this right now move. This is like, hey, play Freddie Fermin more often, like you've been doing, like you've been successful with 3 out of the last 4 games. I'm just saying. And then if none of the outfielders come around and you can make a good trade with Brady Singer and Kris Bubic is ready to go, maybe you do that. So like maybe, just a hypothetical. I'm not even sure where I stand on this proposed trade, but what if You could do Brady Singer for Jazz Chisholm straight up. How do you feel about that?
I'm a little torn on that, but I'm a Jazz detractor, if you will. I'm not a
He was the
hater.
cover athlete on MLB The Show
That
last year.
doesn't mean shit, Jeremy. Doesn't mean anything.
Oh, I know. I know there are some other guys. The next one I can think of is Kyle Tucker. That's not happening.
No, it's
Um,
not.
but
So,
there's some other guys out there that I think might make some more sense. I just would have to actually go digging instead of asking you a random question.
so all right. Here's one
Might be an article
hypothetical.
idea.
Here's one hypothetical that I would have done
Okay.
a little begrudgingly, but I would have traded Singer for Arise straight up.
See, I would rather have. I know this is crazy. I would rather have Jazz than
Really?
Arias. Arias has no power.
Right, but man,
And he doesn't walk. I'm just concerned. And he's got he's had so much success. And I don't want to take away from him.
mm-hmm.
But a guy who's got no bat speed, who's got no power, who's got no ability to take a walk, that's not a guy who's going to add consistency to my lineup, or that I'm confident is going to add consistency to my lineup, even though that's all he's ever done is add consistency to lineups. He's also older, and I think this is his last year of his deal.
You know what? I don't know his contract status, so that's a good point. But like that's what a sort of trade like that is what sent him from the Minnesota Twins to the Miami Marlins. The Marlins sending back Pablo Lopez for him. Like that's I'm not saying Brady Singer's
better
than
Brady. So that's actually interesting.
Right, but I mean, they were.
If you can get me someone who isn't Arias but is as good as Arias, he's not actually a free agent until 2026. So I am incorrect. He's only 27. Maybe that's a better deal than I think it is. He had a 130 WRC plus each of the last 2 years. Got a 118 so far this year. Can't play defense, but the Royals could use him at designated hitter and be just fine.
Yeah, they definitely could. I would, but that is a hypothetical that is come and gone. So, like you said, that's probably a good article idea for down the road.
But I if you could get someone like Arias, but maybe someone with a little bit more power or a little bit more ability to take a walk, I would also, that would be a trade I would 100% do.
So, I think do you remember those old newspaper ads that they would put in the personals, like person seeking person, and like then it would list out the traits,
the classifieds,
yeah, the classifieds. Thank you. What I would say for the Royals is AL Central team seeking impact bat with
a real impact bat this time, not Hunter Renfroe,
not Hunter Renfroe, with a lengthy track record of success. And not
years remaining on his contract.
Yeah, which because we've seen the premium that starting pitching is going for right now.
Yeah,
I think starting pitching is more valuable than bats. I will say that.
Yeah, usually.
So, but that's a hypothetical. Let's go ahead and move on. What were you were talking to me before we started recording about something with Salvi?
Salvador Perez. I realized earlier this week, Salvador Perez has 255 career home runs. Can you believe that? 255. That is second in Royals franchise history.
Really?
Second by a lot. Number 3 is Mike Sweeney with 197.
Wow.
Number 1, George Brett with 317.
Man.
So here's my question for you, Jacob. Salvador Perez, current 62 home runs behind the franchise home run leader.
Yeah.
Can he catch him?
Yes.
You think so?
I think so.
You think
I would
two more? I mean, that's 2 more years of 30 home runs, basically.
It is, and he's. I mean, I genuinely think that this coaching staff and Quatrero are doing the right things that they needed to do to extend Salvi's impact playing time. Okay, and this is, I'm not saying that this is George, like he's going to have a George Brett long career. Okay, because we don't see that shit anymore. But that is the thing that kept George Brett around in Major League Baseball for a long time, moving him from third base over to first base, and then primarily like only designated hitter. Like that man would just walk from the showers to the dugout to the plate. Like, and that was it. I could see them doing something like that with Salvi and him having a long enough time in Kansas City to pass him. Now, and it's crazy to think that at this time last year we were talking about trading away Salvi. And yeah, Honey's talking to the always a truther in the background. There was two things she always told me. One, stop bagging on Hunter Dozier so much. And two, believe in Salvador Perez. Now, number one ain't done shit. But number two is doing something.
And can we just, I want to just throw out there, I was just thinking about this today. Hunter Dozier is in the Angels minor league system.
Yeah.
We saw what they were doing to their roster, desperate to get infield help.
And they didn't
calling up Hunter Dozier.
Yeah. That is just goes to show you how far Hunter Dozier has fallen. And he's spent like the whole spring with the Angels. Like he's not they just signed him and they're stretching him out. No, like he's been with them for this whole process. Look, on Salvi, I love that he not has turned this around, but he is still producing and he has a supporting cast around him to produce. I remember Ryan was talking about it on Tuesday night's broadcast. What was different between the previous years and this year, because we've seen a very different plate approach from Salvador Perez this year. And Ryan said something to the effect of Salvi doesn't feel like he is the cog that makes the whole offensive machine go.
Yep. I remember hearing this too.
He was swinging for the fences because that was the only way the Royals were going to score if he did that. So now he doesn't have that. Now he could be a little bit more patient and he's more productive, which is scary.
Which I believe that goes back to something I was saying during the offseason when I said, well, these veterans the Royals brought in, maybe they're not, ceiling raisers by themselves. Though Seth Lugo is making me look like I don't know what I'm talking about a little bit. They're floor raisers.
Yes, certainly.
And when you raise the floor, you make everyone else go, okay, I don't have to do everything now. It's not just Salvi that doesn't have to do everything. Vinny doesn't have to do everything. Bobby doesn't have to do everything. Michael doesn't have to do everything. Michael Massey doesn't have to do everything. Kyle Isbell doesn't have to do everything.
When
they're out, they're able. What's that?
When he does something.
Yeah, I mean he's batting ninth.
Yeah,
he's batted ninth every game this year, and he's played elite defense in center field.
Exactly.
I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine with him as well. I'm just ribbing him.
But taking the pressure off of those guys, we talked. Okay, yeah, it helped Salvador Perez. You think it didn't help Bobby Witt Jr.? You think it didn't help Michael Garcia? You think it didn't help Michael Massey?
That's
pretty
true.
sure it did.
Yeah, I think it did. You're right. That's a good point. So I didn't turn around the question back to you. I do apologize. Do you think that Salvi will surpass George Brett's home run mark?
I am done betting against Salvi.
Okay.
I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Every time I bet against him, it goes very poorly for me. I am not betting against Salvi anymore. He could have, and here's the thing, is that even when he's not been good necessarily the last couple of years, he's still got his dingers.
He does.
So if he plays 2 more seasons, and I see no reason to believe he wouldn't, being the guy he is and being as good as he's been this year, you don't want to go out now. The team is good now. You're better now. Keep playing, Sal.
Keep it going, Sal.
He could pass George. I think he could pass him in 2 to 3 years. 3 years would kind of be my outside guess, honestly.
Okay.
And if he passes George in home runs, if he does it, Jacob, I will finally believe that Salvador Perez is a true Hall of Fame candidate.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
will stop arguing with anyone.
Listen, I'm a small hall guy, and even when or if and when Salvi does that, Yeah, that would really be a big cementing thing. Doing so primarily as across his career, it would be
Yeah.
primarily as a catcher.
The other thing that could kind of cement Salvador Perez as a Hall of Fame guy for me.
What's that?
The Royals win the World Series this year.
Oh,
If Salvador Perez is the heart of 2 World Series teams a decade apart, that's the kind of narrative that will get you in the Hall of Fame. Kind of, who cares about the stats? Yeah. He was the heart of 2 World Series teams a decade apart.
Yep,
that'll get you votes.
It will, dude. Could you? We are not saying they're going to do this.
I'm not predicting a World Series win for the Royals this year. David Lesky asked in his newsletter, what needs to happen for you to expect the Royals to make the playoffs in 2024? Why don't you answer first, Jacob? I've got my answer. Do you have your answer?
Oof, let's see. To expect them?
Where you're like, at this point, if they don't make the playoffs, I will be disappointed because I think that they should.
If they survive an injury bug, okay? Like if let's say Michael Wacha or Seth Lugo misses 5 or 6 starts. If they survive like that period of time, I will 1000% believe. What's your answer, Jeremy?
I already believe. I already believe that this team is destined for the postseason. Will they have any success there? That is a good question. And that's going to depend, I think, a lot on what acquisitions they make as we approach the deadline. Because this team is good enough to make it to the postseason. Is it good enough to survive the postseason? You probably want one more strong reliever and one more strong bat at least if you're going to pull that off. And so the question is, how do you get that? That's where I come back with the Brady Singer thing.
Yeah.
But I think that's what they're going to need to do if they want to win in the postseason. But right now, I look at the record, which, by the way, after Tuesday's game, tied for the best 50-game start in Royals history.
Yep.
Better than the 2015 team. 2015 team was a win behind them.
Man.
So I believe that this team is headed for the postseason in the era of expanded postseason rosters. Right now, I think last I looked, they were 4 games up on a wild card spot.
Yep.
That's not an insurmountable lead this early in the year.
No, it's not.
But it's not a small lead this early in the year.
No, exactly. And as I'm looking at Fangraphs right now, after today's win, they're currently sitting at 58% to make the postseason.
And can we talk for a second about how Fangraphs, I think it had like a 15% postseason chance for them at the beginning of the year?
Very small.
And Fangraphs is like, I don't know, guys. I think they're more likely to go than not now.
Yep.
Baseball Reference has been in on them for a few weeks. They were up to like 70% over there for a while.
Ooh, goodness gracious.
The Tigers are falling apart.
Yep.
Twins are falling apart. Can the Guardians do this forever?
I don't know. I don't bet against the Guardians
What is
anymore.
happening with the Guardians? The Royals have won 6 in a row. What are the Guardians doing today? Have they played yet? Are they playing?
We're always on watch to see if Cleveland loses, right? We watch the Royals game and then wake up the next morning. Did Cleveland lose last night? Usually the answer is no.
They won again today. So the Royals and the Guardians are both on 6-game winning streaks. They have to lose eventually. Right?
Yeah.
Some of the Royals, but we won't worry about that right now. My goodness,
it's amazing, dude.
This is the stuff. This is what we've been lacking since at least 2017. Okay. Yeah. I'm looking at my notes for things I wanted to still talk about.
Hope can drive a man insane, and that is what Gavin Cross is giving Royals prospect watchers out there.
Right.
Yeah, you like that?
I was going to go the other one, but that's good. We'll go to Gavin Cross. So Gavin Cross, baby. Let's talk about Gavin Cross. Gavin Cross, famously awful last year.
Ooh, he was bad last year.
At high rough. A. And then during the offseason, we hear, by the way, probably bad because he had spotted mountain fever, something like that.
Something wild.
Ups your strength. And they're like, we think that's why. And we
Makes
were
sense.
like, okay, maybe. And they're like, we're going to start him at AA this year. And famously, I don't believe in your stats till you make it to AA, right? Don't believe.
Believe in his stats, Jeremy.
AA stats for Gavin Cross as we're looking for some outfield help. Right, he might still be a little bit too far away, but
Maybe,
I
yeah.
think he is banging on the door for a trip to Omaha, and then let's see what happens there. His season stats, let me give you those first.
Yes.
311, 394, 481 for an 875 OPS, also
Man.
known as a 139. Count it, 139 WRC plus.
And I have his May stats pulled up, man, and they're
I was
even
going to get
better.
those next.
Let's see here.
Give me the May stats so I don't have to go look
May
them up.
stats. All right, what'd you say his OPP was?
His OBP for the whole season is 394.
Yeah. Okay, that is his batting average for May. It's 394. On base percentage 461, slugging 667 for a 1.127 OPS. All right, when you get into four digits, that's good territory, baby.
I do not believe this man has anything left to prove at AA. It is time to send him to Omaha. It is time to say, all right, Mr. Fever Boy, what can you do at Omaha? Can you do this at Omaha? The WRC Plus, I think when I looked it up, was over 200.
Right now
May.
it is at 190.
Yeah. Woo, boy.
Yeah.
Well, and he's not striking out that much. He's striking out 25.2% of the time. More like, would you like it to be lower? Yes. But if he's doing all that hitting, you'll live with it, especially with a walk rate of 11% that he's throwing out there. I am keeping a very close eye on Gavin Cross. We were like, hey, get Drew Waters up here. Hey, get Nick Lofton up here. Hey, get Devin Mann up here. Okay. Put him in AAA. If he puts up a month like this in AAA, give me Gavin Cross right now.
I mean, why wait? That was that was his whole calling card coming out of Virginia Tech, was like, hey, this guy is a polished bat. He is ready to go, and didn't really believe it in 2023. Well, now we kind of know why. Like, what happened?
Yeah. He is 23 years old. Just a little old for AA.
A little, just a skosh.
Just a skosh. Put him up in AAA where he'd be kind of young for AAA.
Yeah.
And if he can do this in AAA as a first round pick, 23 years old is not too early to call a guy up.
No, not at all.
And I would love for him to prove that post All-Star break, he needs to be on the big league roster.
Yeah.
I would love for him to prove that. And he needs an opportunity to prove it. He needs to be in Omaha ASAP.
So here's a cool thing about the front office. It's still so new that we are trying to figure out what their tendencies are. Okay, Dayton was in charge for so long that we knew the general time frame. Okay, a guy has to be in AA this long before he goes on to AAA. We don't know the same thing for this front office.
At 200 WRC plus over a month's worth of games, I don't care what your timelines are. Get that man up to the next level.
And I'm pretty sure Preston Farr will agree with you there.
That's not just a hot streak.
No.
That's 3 weeks of playing unbelievable baseball. There is nothing left for him to prove. Even if he comes down from that in AA, he still did that for 3 weeks. He's got the tools. He's showing it. Let's see what he can do at the next level. Let's go. I'm all for not promoting guys too fast, but when they're hitting this well, there's just no reason. There is no reason to leave him down there any longer. I can only imagine he's going to be in Omaha this time next week at the very latest. Wow. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope that I'm not. The Royals need to be making some aggressive moves if they want to compete this year. And I'm not saying Gavin Cross is definitely an answer, but I think there's an opportunity to find out. I'll also point out that his steamer projection says that if the Royals promoted him right now, I don't have his Zips projection, unfortunately, but his steamer projection says if the Royals promoted him right now, he would be expected to have 78 WRC plus, which would already be better than their outfielders. Not good, but better than the outfielders they've got. So if he could put up, a month of AAA, let's give him a chance.
Yeah. You're right.
What do you got to lose?
One last tidbit on Gavin Cross before we keep it moving, because this guy was so maligned amongst Royals fans. Him and Frank Mazzucato caught a lot of heat for being first round draft picks from the word go. This man in May has reached base safely in every single game. Even when he doesn't have a hit, he's drawing walks. All right, he's getting it done. His plate approach is there. Time to send him up to Omaha. Get him used to that automatic balls and strikes. Get him some looks against somewhat experienced major league talent up there, because that was the whole thing for Champlain, was getting him up there facing off against fringe Major League Baseball guys and see what he could do. And I mean, we've seen guys make a quick rise from Double-A because they've proven it in Triple-A and they get to the majors. All right, Jeremy, let's go ahead and move on. What was the one other thing you were wanting to talk about today? Was there anything?
There was one more thing. It was maybe we kind of already covered this, but I just want to like really drive home the idea that the Royals have 2 perfect homestands this year. 7-game win streak, 6-game win streak, 0 sweeps. They've not been swept by anybody else all year.
Man, that's great track record.
And let me throw one more thing at you. Some people say Royals are playing all these guys under 500, and that's why they're winning so many games.
Easy competition, you know.
Yeah. So
the White Sox.
Just for the record, the Phillies.
Yeah.
Do we believe in the Phillies? I believe in the Phillies.
Yeah,
Best record in MLB. They've played 3 games against a team over 500, and they won 2. You know, the Padres, by the way, have a winning record against teams with over 500. They're 25-26, 8 games behind the Dodgers in the West. Do we think they're good? Do we?
Not as good as the Royals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not counting on the Padres making the playoffs this year. But I got it pulled up. There was one more that I was like, whoo. Let's see. The Milwaukee Brewers.
Okay.
Currently leading the NL Central.
Yeah.
Very solid team. 10-10 against teams over 500. And the Texas Rangers are 9-10 against teams over 500. I know they're in second place, but the Seattle Mariners leading the NL West 13-15 against teams over 500. As it kind of turns out, it's hard to beat winning teams, even if you're a winning team. So the idea is to beat up on those other teams and get your wins there. The Tigers are below 500 in part because the Royals have beaten them 4 times. I mean, that's how it goes. It's just, come on, y'all.
So, Jeremy, there is one number that I think folks should be believing in.
Yeah, what's that number?
102. All right, that's not the magic number. That is the win total that these Royals are on pace for right now. Yeah.
I looked up, by the way, the narrow path to 90 wins by Suff 76 again.
Yeah.
The Royals are 3 games ahead of that pace after today's win.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I love it. So it is, and I know y'all are, we'll get to Spotify Q&A responses. I know some of y'all touch on this, but it's a joy to watch Royals baseball. I remember this time last year, I told folks, hey, I will keep doing the Royals recaps if I get X amount of paid subscribers, because I'm not going to sit here and watch every single game and talk after every single game for free. Now I look forward to it.
Yep.
Because I want to watch every single game.
Yep.
And it's just great. It's amazing.
I think at this point last year, I was writing articles about what you should be doing instead of watching the Royals. I think I wrote an article about like what team should I root for? Because I'm not going to root for the Royals anymore. It's just all kinds of shenanigans.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're used to losing baseball. You started getting some kooky ideas.
Yep.
All right, let's Jeremy, thank you for honestly, y'all, Jeremy made today's show go round. He was the one who had all the notes to say, hey, we should talk about this. We should talk about that. And I'm over here just spouting.
You do it 30 times out of 31, so I can do it just this once.
Give yourself a little bit more credit there, friend. All right. Speaking of folks who do give us credit, it's to y'all who interact with us on Spotify via the Q&As, the polls, whatever it may be. I absolutely love hearing from y'all and seeing you guys, just seeing you guys interact and really enjoy what we are putting out there, because we get it. It's not for everyone. We got it. We get a little crazy sometimes. We really do. So, Jeremy, I did ask on the poll after our last full-length episode, true or false, the Royals win more than 85 games this year and finish in the AL Central top 2. All right, which I think we both agree that that's true. Like that's how we would answer that. Is that correct?
Yep. I think that's where we're headed right now.
All right. That is what 85.7% of respondents said. True.
Smart
they
people.
believe it. I know, right?
I mean, I knew they were smart because they listened to us, but they just proved it.
I know, right? Just buying more brownie points from us, if you will. I kept it pretty simple on the Q&A. I just asked them, like, hey, what did you think about this weekend series? Because that would have been after the Oakland A's series, which was it was kind of a surprising sweep. I thought the A's were going to take one from them at least, but it was just a fun weekend of baseball. Luke 57 says, this feels like a dream. Was hoping they would be hovering around 500, but this feels like a wild card team. Maybe even taking the division. Luke, we're right there with you, friend. If not higher.
I think I would have assumed that they were leading the division if you told me what their record was right now. I never imagined the Guardians would be doing what they're doing. And honestly, I was doing some research for an article for this weekend about all-star stuff.
Yeah.
And they don't have anybody that's super standing out. And I'm just like, how are they doing this?
Man, Jose Ramirez can do a lot of stuff for that team.
Jose Ramirez is leading the league in RBIs, tied with or at least he was before today's games, tied with Alec Boehm in all of baseball for RBIs.
Damn.
But his WAR isn't that good. He's
really
all he's doing is RBIs and a few home runs.
Interesting. I'll have to go dive into that a little bit more. Ash fan Sam says it's refreshing and glad they did what they should do, which is like we talked about this path to 90 wins. They got to beat up on the bad teams, and that's what they did against the A's. Christopher Palmer says, sweep you very much. The Royals absolutely dominated a horrible A's team, which is what you want to see. Reagans, Lugo, and Singer were fantastic. Now carry that momentum into the Tiger series. And Christopher, they absolutely did. All right. They carried it right through the Detroit Tigers. Aaron Bailey says beating up on maybe the second worst team in the division should be expected, but nice. We may be a good team. ... Yeah, Aaron,
there's no maybe. They're incredibly average. I mean, really good.
Oh my goodness. Insert Royals review hate here. Royal Rupert says the team is loads of fun. It's time for changes in the outfield and bullpen before it drags the team down. And yeah, Rupert, I think that's kind of the common thread. I think we're all ready for that. Jeremy, any responses to the Q&As? Any closing thoughts before we get to reviews?
So they've got tomorrow off, and then they're going to play Tampa Bay this weekend.
Yep.
So that's going to be okay. Here's what I'm going to tell you.
Oh boy,
the series isn't a big deal to me. After sweeping the homestand, Rays are not amazing. They're playing around 500 right now, so I would prefer that they take at least 2 out of 3.
Yeah,
but as long as they don't get swept, I'm not going to let it bother me.
Okay.
Because they're in really good shape right now. And you can't win them all. And the Rays are a good team. They're underperforming a little bit, but they're a good team. So this is a series that I'm promising myself that, unlike all of the other series losses they've had this year, if they lose this series, I'm not going to be down. And if they win this series, I might just explode from joy.
Yeah, and I know we say it often at the end of these episodes, but this is another good benchmark, if you will. All right, like as far as the Royals like keep it going, and now they're going on the road, and they're facing off against a team that so many Royals fans wanted this franchise to emulate. Be more like the Rays was one of the common threads from this past offseason. Well, if they can go down there and win a series against the Rays on their home turf, I would be very excited about that. Plus, you got Lugo, Singer, and Waka going up against them. Like, I mean, you definitely have the starting pitching edge against this team. Now, can they hold the bats in line? That is the real question.
Well, a lot of it depends on if Freddie Fermin is starting, I think.
My goodness, apparently so. Apparently so, Jeremy.
Well, they did just fine yesterday without him too, I guess.
They could have been better. I mean, I guess they could have won by more.
Been better.
We're getting spoiled now, Jeremy. That we're hitting that point of the season. Jeremy alluded to it, but I do want to make this a little bit more clear. This team is as good as they are right now. They're not going to go 143-19. All right, they are going to lose some more games. It is going to happen. It's not we're gonna nitpick at why they lost those games, but that's why you have 162 games in a season. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
As I said, at this point, I expect them to make the postseason one way or another. I would be very surprised if they won 100 games. That doesn't seem like it's in the cards.
Okay.
But, if Bobby Witt and Salvador Perez don't quit and the Royals fill in some gaps around them, whether through guys finally figuring their stuff out or acquisitions, then we can talk about it.
Yeah. And the best place to talk about that is with us on Spotify, or you can just hit us up on social media. We try to be pretty, what is it? What's the word? Like we try to be pretty active on there. I was going to say reactive, but we reply a lot and are active. That's what I was trying to put together. All right, Jeremy, why don't we go ahead and do some reviews and get on out of here?
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea.
All right, I'll go ahead and knock mine out first. Another kudos, another shout out, if you will. So I know not everyone out there is like covering the Royals or anything like that, but MLB.com does have a tool called Pressbox, which is where you can get access to some stats, to some history, to get a little bit more context on each game. And I didn't realize how much better the Royals site was until they went on that West Coast road trip, because each team like has their group and they have to update it. And the Royals are over here. They have pregame notes, postgame notes, minor league reports, the whole shebang. Meanwhile, like the Angels, they have a bigger team, but they're not putting out the same amount of content or like even updating it daily. So I just want to give a shout out to Ian Kraft, Nick Capel, Logan Jones, and Sam's team over there for really making this job a lot easier and giving us a lot more tidbits. Jeremy, over to you.
Ooh, let's see. I will go ahead and who do I want to shout out today? This is I should have been thinking about this while you were talking.
How dare you?
Farting around on the Pressbox website. I started watching that time I was reincarnated as a slime again.
Oh, yeah.
Recently, the third season has started coming out. So I was like, well, let me go back and rewatch the first two seasons. And it continues to be, I'm not as into it as I want to be. I think I'm a little burned out on shonen after burning through all of Fairy Tail.
Yeah.
So I think really I should take a break and come back again. But watching it, even though I'm not as into it as I was, I'm still reminded that like I did love this. There's a lot to love here. It's very kind of low stakes. Like they're always going to win the fight, and they're not going to pretend that they're not going to win the fight.
Yeah.
And I like that. Like some people say, oh, there's no stakes. Well, the stakes are in the personal relationships, and it's just kind of relaxing to watch. Sure. And so that I just want to watch something relaxing sometimes, a lot of times, which is kind of why I've given up on For All Mankind, which, as good as it is not a relaxing show.
No.
So that's where I'm at right now. I'm looking for a slice of life, I think, to watch, maybe one or two slice of lives before I go back and try again. So if anybody's got any recommendations out there, some of my favorites, if it matters, are let's see, My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu. Gosh, I forgot the name of some of these others that I really like. The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. I really liked, actually, Lux gave us a recommendation a few months ago for Steins Gate, and I actually really liked that as well. There's another one of Chunibyo and Other Nonsense is another one that I really love. So if you've got recommendations for slice of life kind of in those veins, please hit me up on Twitter. I would love to. I will watch it, and I will, if I love it, I will get back to you and be like, I love this. Let me tell you everything I love about it. Please love this with me. We'll have a good time.
I will I'll not date myself, but I will like set the bar for where I'm at. I'm about to start reading through Hikaru no Go for the first time. It's a based off the board game Go. Do you
Okay.
do you ever it ran in Shonen Jump from like 98 to 2003.
I'm not a manga reader. I just watch the anime.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. All righty, Jeremy. Let's go ahead and get on out of here. It's dinner time, man. I'm starting to get hangry out here. So if you want more non-hangry me, you can find that on X at Jake Milham KC. If you want more hangry Jeremy, you can find it on X at Hokius. That is Hokius, or you can go verbally assault him in the Royals Review comments.
I mean, don't do that though. You can disagree with me. You don't have to assault me. What the hell?
I will say this about the Royals Review comment community. I love on the rare occasion when a game thread is missed and they will just hijack the Royals rumblings comments. I don't know why, but I just like it. It's an accepted backup at this point. So, all right. Go check out royalsreview.com. You're missing out if you don't. Thanks, y'all, for joining us. Please, if you want to make your voice heard, our contact info is down below. You can listen to us on Spotify, follow us there, comments on the polls, things like that. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you all for joining us, and until next time, oh, Royals!
Les garçons jouent à ballon.